and 10 technical difficulties. Proving just how terrifying she can be in Ultimate Custom Night and during Sister Location's Custom Night, Ballora, when she appears, will mess with your cameras. She approaches from either one of the two halls, but when she does, your cameras will be disabled. Apparently, Ballora is some kind of tech whiz, or emits some form of frequency jumbling or some other waves of some kind. I don't know, maybe she's like a 5G tower. It ends up interfering with your cameras, kind of like Vanny in Security Breach. The only time you'll end up seeing her in Custom Night is when it's too late and she's already jump scared you, which is just a total move, honestly. But you know what? It's kind of a spicy one as well, if you know what I'm saying. Like, you won't know where she is until she comes at you. Get your mind out of the gutter. And at 9, hey, look, listen. The key to avoiding Ballora's jump scare in Ultimate Custom Night, though, is attentive listening, just like a real woman. This is what you're gonna hear in your headphones, okay? This is FNAF. Sound cues galore. So I'm assuming that you'll be wearing headphones. I mean, I usually don't, which is probably why I keep failing, but oh well. You'll hear Ballora's music, but you won't be able to see her. You'll want to close the door on the side that you hear the music coming from before she can attack. So yeah, wear headphones. If you succeed, the only way you'll know is by another sound cue, a thud meant to signify her leaving. And obviously, if you fail, you'll know, because you'll have a 7-foot-tall surrogate mother in your face. And the whole listening to Ballora thing also comes from her game in Sister Location during Night 2. In that minigame, Baby tells the player to move slowly in the Ballora gallery. However, the player is allowed to run as long as they stop moving when Ballora's music gets louder, hence the whole listening to the music thing. Continuing this process will eventually get you to the break room on. And at 8, Electroshock. In Sister Location, you are of course forced into shocking Ballora to get her to perform and make sure that she's in operating order so that she can once again entertain the children of the next day. If you've seen part 1 of this list or have played Sister Location, you know what I'm talking about. Something, however, that we have yet to mention is what happens on Night 2 when you shock Ballora. That's right, she likes being shocked. She's kind of freaky like that. However, only Ballora's shadowy silhouette can actually be seen when you illuminate her stage, and then you're forced to shock her in order to motivate her into performing. Oh god. However, when you do so, all you're gonna hear is garbled, creepy, demonic voices which are emanating from the malfunctioning hand unit. Initially, it doesn't really sound like anything, it just sounds like garbled gibberish. But one Redditor, for some reason, plugged the audio into an audio recording program, probably Audacity, to see if they could actually make sense of it. And you know what? They did. Upon increasing the speed, they uncovered some actual words being said. To them, they said it sounded like argumentative, standards, elevation, passive, heights. Whatever that means. No idea what it means in like with a bigger picture, or if it's just a random set of words that Scott decided to throw in our faces, but you know what? It's FNAF, it's always gonna be a mystery. And it's 7 level guide. As I just mentioned, Helpy is a level guide for all of FNAF VR, including its DLC. He appears on every category of minigame, including but not limited to FNAF 1, FNAF 2, Dark Rooms, Danger Keep Out, and Spooky Mansion. But not only that, this canonically gives Helpy a hell of a lot of powers in the game series. Not only is he a pirate thanks to the Pirate Cove minigame, but he's also a werewolf according to the Afraid of the Dark section of Curse of Dreadbear, a vampire thanks to the Spooky Mansion section, and can be a ghost due to his animation of Danger Keep Out. He also knows his way around electronics in the Vent Repair and Parts and Service minigames. Really goes to show that Helpy is an underrated character that offers more than just neck snapping sound effects when missing a ball pit during testing. That isn't the ball pit malfunctioning, that's Helpy's neck. And at 6, Ballora's stage. One of the creepiest parts of the introduction to the Sister Location game mechanics is actually like examining the stages. The first stage you're actually forced to illuminate is Ballora's, and the fact that her light and the other stage lights are they're not always on. It's weird, okay? It makes it more unsettling. You don't know what's out there. It's like when you turn off the lights when you're leaving the basement and you run up the stairs because you can't see anything. That's what's going on. The anxiety that you feel building the first time you turn that light on, and then the crazy thing is how muddy the lighting is, or like the thickness of the windows seems to make the stage still appear as though if it were being viewed through a vignette. I don't know what it means when the black is around your screen, you know, in like that circle. Even when Ballora and her mini arenas appear after you've administered the shock, it's disturbing. Either way. Halfway through number 5, plan. Vanny has a plan. We may not know it yet, but she has a plan and is currently acting on it. She needs Gregory for something since she has selected one, but she also needs other things. The animatronics on her side, William wants us to bring him what he wants, but what is that thing? Is it us? Is it an animatronic body? Could the Stitch Wraith just be an animatronic building itself up so William can use it as a body? Is that what she needs to find, or will any animatronic endoskeleton work? The entirety of her plan is obscured to us, only letting us know hints as to what the grand plan to resurrect William Afton is, if that is even her true plan. She could be trying to eliminate him once and for all, but is doing so from the inside for all we know. And at 4, travel by tracks. One of the specific requirements that I was referring to is, of course, that she actually needs to have tracks. Ballora glides around on, like, I guess what is easily described as train tracks in her studio, which she somehow also manages to spin on, but that's a whole other problem, okay? It's just like the doors, I don't want to talk about it. Without her tracks, Ballora can't even actually stand on her own, and she crawls on all fours, very disturbingly, might I add. I'm not sure how exactly she would perform if she was being rented out, like Chica was for Sister Location, though fortunately, or unfortunately, her super creepy mini arenas don't actually need tracks in order to do literally anything. So, yay! Hopefully those tracks pull her away from me just after we kiss, though, so she doesn't claw my face off. Yes, I just said that. Chica, I'm sorry. And at 3, helpful. In the custom nights of the FNAF games, there are some challenges you can try and complete, especially in Sister Location where there are plenty. However, in FNAF 7 Ultimate Custom Night, we have to fight against our little Happy Helper. Helpy, though, is the only character to have his difficulty decrease in a challenge that is meant to be harder than the previous, meaning that he will actually get easier in between specific levels. Isn't he sweet? In this case, I'm talking about the Bear's Attack challenges. In Bear's Attack 1, his AI difficulty is set to 5. In Bear's Attack 2, his AI difficulty is increased to 10, but in Bear's Attack 3, his AI difficulty is decreased back to level 5. He knows we're working too hard and wants to cut us some slack, and it just makes me love him all the more for it. Thank you, Helpy. You help relieve my stress with your sped up MLG gamer and horn, and I love you for it. Helpy actually kinda reminds me of my pug. And ultimately, in at number 2, Mrs. Afton. While some theorize that Ballora is like a big sister to Circus Baby, which is definitely not true, others believe that the two have an even weirder relationship, that for some reason, they believe Ballora is actually meant to be Circus Baby's mom. Or rather, that the spirit within Ballora, which is supposed to give her consciousness and awareness, like the original animatronics, belongs to William Afton's wife, Elizabeth Afton's mother, Mrs. Afton, sometimes referred to as Clara Afton, which is not true, but it's a name given to her by fans after the character of Clara from The Immortal and the Restless, which is the soap opera featured in Sister Location. People believe that Clara, for some reason, from the show, is supposed to be the name of Mrs. Afton, and then Vlad is supposed to be William. But then again, Vlad isn't named William, so why would Clara be called Clara? I don't get it. It has yet to be confirmed, but some heavily believe that she also died in a car accident following the death and loss of the rest of her family, and then somehow her soul became trapped inside Ballora. But the idea of a car accident comes from a Living Tombstone song, and nothing to do in the actual FNAF series. So, don't know why y'all are so hard about that. Why are you so hard-headed about this? I don't understand. Finally, in at number 1, model of. Another theory, which definitely makes more sense given what information we have on the Afton family, or at least the Afton family dynamic, is that Ballora was created after the death of Mrs. Afton, and that it was simply modeled to be like her, or designed to be kind of representative of her. Maybe Mrs. Afton was a ballerina, or maybe some people believe that Ballora was created to be a vessel for Mrs. Afton's soul, but because she died before the animatronic was made, she was unable to possess it. However, that's also impossible since Afton only learns about possession after Baby ends up getting possessed by Elizabeth. Afton built the Funtime robots as killbots, as evidenced by their abilities and secret storage tanks. So, yeah, the whole she was possessed thing has absolutely zero evidence, because these are literally designed to come up to you and make you feel safe in order for them to snatch you like you're the last turkey on Thanksgiving weekend. So her being all motherly is just a ploy to literally kill you. The only one who's possessed is Baby, and that's why they showed us her getting possessed, and that's why they changed her eye color, okay? So that we know she's the only one that's possessed. So stop this nonsense. God.
Number 10, Funtime Lolbit. Lolbit is obviously a variation on another female version of the animatronic. We are talking here about Funtime Foxy, where Funtime Foxy is pink and white in terms of coloring. Lolbit instead is orange and white with purple accents. Lolbit's bow tie and cheeks are purple as well as their lipstick. Lolbit basically is like a bolder version of Funtime Foxy, at least in terms of her color scheme. Number 9, LOL. LOL. In Ultimate Custom Night and Sister Locations Custom Night, Lolbit can appear as an obstacle. If Lolbit pops up on the computer screen, you must type LOL quickly into your keyboard or tap the keyboard if you're playing on mobile. Avoiding to do so will result in you losing all control and visuals, as Lolbit's standby screen will appear for a short while. If, however, you respond quickly enough, Lolbit will simply disappear, leaving you alone. And friends, before we move on to this next point, if you are loving this list and you need more FNAF lists, let us know in the comments and give this video a thumbs up. Remember, every time you give one of our videos about FNAF a thumbs up, an animatronic gets their wings. Don't you want animatronics to have wings and fly around? It'd be even more terrifying for us. Number 8, missing eyebrows. A difference between the two sister animatronics is that Lolbit seems to be completely missing their eyebrows. It must be hard being Lolbit. I feel like you'd have very few ways to express yourself without eyebrows. It's unknown what happened to Lolbit's eyebrows, if they ever existed, though I think it's safe to assume because they're an animatronic that they were probably just designed without them. After all, they wouldn't be alone. Balloon Boy, Springtrap, Mangle, and Bonnie all don't have eyebrows either. But without eyebrows, what do you do if something wet is about to drip into your eyes? Oh well. Oh, well, wait a minute.
And at 7, Special Scare. The specialty of Foxy is further enhanced by his jump scare. You know how moms sometimes have a special hug for their kids, or maybe the same thing with your partner? Well, Foxy kinda has the same thing, making him a unique animatronic even by FNAF standards. Foxy in FNAF 1, I believe, is the only animatronic in the entire series to not have a jump scare that is right in front of your face. In fact, it's at the back right of the room, or at least the right of the screen, I guess, making it a unique experience that you only get from him in that game. Every other instance of Foxy is a jump scare in your face. Grim Foxy from VR, Withered Foxy, even FNAF 1 VR Foxy jump scares you in your face. And so do all the other animatronics. There may be some slight jump scares in other games that take place around you, but even Golden Freddy, who also has a special jump scare, is right in your face. He's the most in your face, really. So it's kinda cool to think about, but still scary, cause, you know, jump scare.
Number 6, mostly a floating head. While in FNAF World, Lolbit did have a whole body, almost every other depiction of the animatronic has excluded their lower half, making Lolbit mostly just a floating head. Unless we're talking about Help Wanted, but we're not talking about Help Wanted right now. They are often depicted as being without a body or an endoskeleton. Poor Lolbit, they have no body to call their own. I guess they left their body all the way back in FNAF World. Hopefully one day they'll be able to retrieve it. Don't worry, they will. And Help Wanted. Number 4, Hook Hand. Lolbit also has a hook for a hand. Well, at least the version from FNAF World does. This is another feature that sets them apart from Funtime Foxy, but brings them closer in appearance to the original Foxy. For some reason, their big jolly appearance combined with this hook hand just makes them even more scary to look at than Foxy for me. And I mean, I say that, but Foxy initially already kind of has a sinister energy due to their habit of sprinting and their kind of ramshackle appearance in FNAF 1. Something about how happy Lolbit is to be brandishing that hook that makes me feel super wary of them. It's always the ones you don't expect, you know?
And at 3, Easy Access. In Ultimate Custom Night, Foxy has 4 separate entranceways that he can use, making the character extremely hard to deal with. Both doors and both vents are access points for this Foxy freak, and the same goes for Nightmare Fredbear, Nightmare, and Nightmare Yon. This makes him one of the characters with the most ways of getting to the player in the entire series, which is horrifying. Like, I get it, in Ultimate Custom Night we play as a horrific child slayer, but I didn't do anything wrong. Recently. All I did was deal with a couple of them that were running around while I was trying to film at home. That was it, that's it, it's fine, right? But honestly, Foxy gets freaking nuts over these games. Dude went from poking his head in to jumping from the back of a hallway to chasing you down a maze in the span of a few years. There is no chill with this man.
Number 2, FNAF World. Lolbit initially appeared in FNAF World and was later turned into a Funtime variation of the character when she was added to the other FNAF games, initially as an Easter egg and later appearing as an obstacle in Custom Nights, as we discussed earlier, and then a full-on antagonist in Help Wanted. In FNAF World, she had her hook hand, which was swapped out for a full hand eventually, and her full full-body Funtime version. Well, this version from FNAF World still didn't have eyelids, eyeballs, or eyebrows. She did have eyelashes, making her look very creepily cute. Cutely creepy. Not sure which. Number 1, all the variations. Since her initial introduction in FNAF World, there have been tons of little details that have been adjusted for Lolbit's design. The changes, however, are also more often so small that it can be kinda hard to tell which Lolbit exactly you're looking at. There's hook hand, no hook hand, eyebrows, no eyebrows, body, no body. Okay, so maybe a few of those differences are like a little bit bigger than I let on. I feel like body and no body. But for such few appearances, one thing is for certain. We have lots of variations of Lolbit. I cannot wait to see if she'll become a more prominent character in the games in the future, and what else could possibly happen with her design. Here's hoping we see more Lolbit.
And 10, Scary Scott. We all know Scott for being scared of Bonnie after and while he was making the first game. He got jump scared during his testing and honestly ended up having nightmares. Weird. Scott will have nightmares about an animatronic bunny, and I'll have nightmares about being tortured and feel it in the morning. Anyway, after this, we didn't really think about Scott being scared by anyone else. However, as reported by Scott himself in a Steam post, during beta testing for Sister Location, he got jump scared by Funtime Foxy. And while it may not have given him nightmares, we don't really know because he didn't say, he did say that this is the scariest jump scare from any of his games, meaning that according to the creator himself, Funtime Foxy is the scariest animatronic in town, at least by jump scare standards, and that's pretty damn impressive if I do say so myself. And a 9, Voice Mimic. Moving along to Funtime Foxy's actual abilities, as we learned from the FNAF 6 blueprints, Funtime Foxy is able to actually record parents' voices and sync them in order to lure children to their doom. So, does anyone see the problem with this? That's terrifying. Imagine getting lost while camping or something and then Funtime Foxy mimics your parents' voice to call out to you, and then it traps you or you're dead. Or think of what it would do to your parents after it recorded their voice. They wouldn't be of use anymore, right? And if anything, they could just counter it, like that classic thing of like, oh, you hear your mom call you from downstairs, but then you hear your mom call you from the other room upstairs saying that's not me. That would be the scenario if Funtime Foxy didn't kill your parents after he recorded their voices. Actually, this begs the question, are animatronics able to kill adults? And if so, have they? Because I feel like the cops would investigate the deaths of adults less than investigating the deaths of kids. Like, I feel like they would take those murders more seriously than like adult murders. But I mean, I don't know, I'm not a cop. But other than Henry, have any adults been in the series that ended up getting themselves killed by an animatronic? Probably, but how many? And an 8, Nightmare Funtime. FNAF VR is my favorite FNAF game, and one that I've played the most. However, the game is damn scary. The pure agony of having to walk through a pitch black Funtime auditorium in virtual reality is one of the worst things that man can experience, and I will forever stand by the fact that VR horror is the worst thing that mankind has created. However, what makes things worse is that for some unexplained reason, when Funtime Foxy jump scares you in their darkroom in FNAF VR, they use the nightmare animatronic jump scare sound instead of the one that they would have used in Sister Location. We don't know why, but apparently it's not an error because Scott hasn't fixed it in an update or something like that. Also, in the Blacklight hard mode version of this level, if you bump into a clone of Funtime Foxy, instead of Foxy jump scaring you, you'll end up getting jump scared by Lolbit, letting me know that Lolbit's in the game. I didn't know this, and that's pretty damn interesting nonetheless. But yeah, I don't know why he uses the nightmare voice. Or sound, whatever. And it's 7, Identity Crisis. Speaking of theories, Vanessa is widely seen as the actual human version of Vanny. I mean human in the sense that we see her face and that she's actually, like, has a life, you know? The Vanny we know is just a servant, so in some ways a robot for William Afton, but not an actual robot, you know? Well, anyway, we seem to have a bit of an identity crisis on our hands, because she knows that she is possessed or controlled by William, as we can tell thanks to the emails from Security Breach once again, since Louis, the pretty creepy IT guy, asks why Ness, presumably Vanessa, searched for help by itself after looking things up that we know are William Afton based at the very least, if not him looking for them up through her. So we know she knows there is an issue. However, does she know what the issue is, or does she think that she's just losing time a lot? Only one way to find out. Wait for the game. And at 6, blueprints. The blueprints we get for Funtime Foxy differs from the others. And the others, something or someone is being contained, like with Funtime Freddy or Baby. However, Funtime Foxy doesn't seem to have any child stuck inside. Instead, I'm here to talk about the list of special features shown in the bottom right corner. The light activation sensor, which lets Funtime Foxy spot victims in dark areas, perfect for hunting at night. A parental voice sync and replay, allowing for Funtime Foxy to record, synchronize and replay your parent's voice, or the voice of others to lure a victim away from a crowd. A variable scent release like the love potion from Harry Potter, letting the animatronic lure kids away with scents if they couldn't record voices, and a remote floor anchor, which lets out a radio signal for tracking purposes and to anchor victims nearby, whatever that means. And it also helps maintain balance and stability. Physical, not mental. Halfway through number 5, priorities. The game of FNAF functions on priorities, and much like Hermione, they need to be sorted. Foxy's jump scare can actually be interrupted by many things, one of them being the power running out. If the power runs out, you're safe until Freddy's jump scare, meaning you can still survive the night. If the clock hits 6 AM while you're being jump scared by any animatronic, you're good, but Foxy can also get interrupted by another animatronic. If Freddy or Chica is next door and wants a turn, they'll jump scare you instead. Foxy is just like a last resort to the main 3. Like, yeah, if we can't kill the bastard, you go for it. Like, bro, you're a fox, why are you so beta? Man the hell up. I guess that's why they added the Grim Foxy version, since he couldn't grow some balls in the first game. Obviously I'm kidding, because he's an animatronic, but it's scary to think that you can get jump scared again while still recovering from the first one. The same thing goes for Golden Freddy. It's like he has like the last priority, I think, so if no one else can scare you, he will. And at 4, hanging out. Was Foxy the one that hung the scientist in Sister location? Since at the end of the game, before going to see Baby and ending up in the scooping room, you end up seeing that there are bodies of 2 researchers or scientists or whatever they are hanging from the ceiling like they were in every single thumbnail that had to do with Sister location. But that begs the question, did the Funtimes or most of the animatronics who were associated with those sides do the hanging, or were they there the whole time? Or maybe it was Baby? Because it kind of just happened and we didn't really think about it too much because what happened after that? Like, were those guys hanging the whole time? Because I thought this place was abandoned when William was stuck between a wall and a hard place. So where were those scientists? Like, why were they there? Were they hanging there the whole time? We only see them when the light is shined on them, so Foxy could very well have hung them up ages ago. And now it's just like a rotting corpse that somehow stayed together because, you know, FNAF logic. Or the body could be fake. Too bad Foxy isn't Funtime Horsey though. At least then the dude could say he was hung by a horse. And at 3, fighting back. Vanessa, however, is fighting back against William's control. Not only does she try and search for help as indicated by FNAF AR emails, but she is also resisting his control to begin with, since he ends up searching for ways to induce compliance in human subjects. We learn about this also thanks to those FNAF AR emails, so there could be a happy ending to this game yet. William is losing control over Vanny, hence why he needs the animatronics, and hell, maybe as Vanny, he made a Vanny robot to control since he was losing his grip over Vanessa. Is this the way that Scott ends the game? Will Vanessa be successful in breaking free of William's grasp? Probably not, because it's Scott and he loves to make us cry. And scare the hell out of us. That too. And at 2, spirit to speech. Just how any Twitch streamer who enjoys a little chaos has text to speech enabled for donations over a specific amount. Afton Robotics has spirit to speech enabled for anything over 5 spirits, apparently, since we didn't hear the original 5 animatronics talk until Ultimate Custom Night, whereas the Funtimes are talking up a storm, which doesn't really make sense to me because those speech patterns kind of seem reversed. Like, how is it that if they do have the souls of 5 different kids inside them that they're able to speak so well? Like, is one spirit dominant out of the 5? And how does Baby talk? Because she'd have 6 souls, right? And if that's the case, how is Ennard unable to talk, at least from what I remember? If Ennard was speaking, it was just Baby, or I guess Elizabeth's voice. Either way, Funtime Foxy is chatting up a storm in Ultimate Custom Night, but this more so goes for every Funtime animatronic. It's so backwards and confusing. Shouldn't they be the ones with garbled speech and groaning? I mean, like, I get it, it's for scare factor in the first game, but still, if one person equals 1 speech, why is it that 5 people equal 1 speech? Finally, in number 1, showtime schedule. I don't quite understand the whole showtime mechanic from Ultimate Custom Night. However, I know that it can cause you to lose the night even if you've beaten the game. This is a rare glitch that causes the showtime schedule to run past the end of the night, so over 6 a.m. If this happens, you'll end up getting jump scared at the end of the night when it hits 6 a.m., which is incredibly rude because I won. I did it. I survived. And you block me? Frickin' rooster blocking piece of crap. Imagine this happening on 50-20 mode. Imagine winning the game on the hardest mode, but Funtime Foxy's like, no, nah man, not gonna happen. How rude do you have to be? And you people thought Foxy was a good guy. Guess again. Especially when you figure out that it's like 5 souls combined into one. It's messed up, okay? I'm offended. In at 10, not a nice guy. The theory that Foxy was a good guy was really popular back in the day. Everyone thought for some reason that Foxy was actually helping you since he just came inside the door as his jump scare. However, this never really made sense to me since the game still ends and you still go to the game over screen. So I don't really understand how anyone thought this was canon, because there was a small percentage of people who genuinely thought that this was true. And there were others who thought it was possible. However, Scott proved this to be false during the April Fool's update to Ultimate Custom Night, where he supposedly added Nightmare Freddy, Phone Guy, and Foxy's mechanics that were all based on wrong theories. Nightmare Freddy's was based on Dream Theory, Phone Guy's was based on him being Purple Guy, and Foxy's was based on this theory, where he would run in and help the player by blocking one of the doors. This was changed, I believe, a day or so later, but that was still a funny way to debunk this theory, even if it was like 5 games too late. And at 9, inspiration. Foxy has seemingly multiple inspirations, including Rolf the Wolf from the Rock of Fire Explosion Showbiz Pizza Place's animatronic band, which I didn't know existed until this list. This is much more of a popular thing than I thought it was going to be, since Rolf has their own stage away from the rest of the band, like Foxy and Pirate's Cove, as well as both animals being based on animals from the canine family. Foxy could have also drawn inspiration from Foxy Colleen, a Chuck E. Cheese retired animatronic, since they're both retired and share literally the same first name. Foxy also looks similar to Foxy Loxy from the original 1943 Chicken Little Disney animated short, who had a gold tooth similar to how the first few frames of Foxy's jump scare have gold teeth, and then when he opens his mouth they change to white. However, the biggest inspiration would probably be Scott's son, who had the idea for the Foxy animatronic, which Scott designed while on his way to visit his in-laws, which if you weren't sure, is terrifying. And at 8, backtrack. The safe thing about Foxy is his predictability. The ability to know that he will reset after closing your door makes me sleep soundly at night. But in the original mobile release of the first FNAF game, Foxy wouldn't reset to 1 like every good stage performer should after a mistake during rehearsal. No, he could at times just go back to phase 3, which I'm pretty sure is the one just before he runs off camera, where he looks like he's breaking his back. This one. Which means that he could in essence come after you again right away, and you'd be screwed because you wouldn't expect it. He also used to leave as soon as he reached the door in the first game. Even though his like jump scare sound plays where he's clawing at the door, you could still open the door and you wouldn't get scared because he would be back at Pirate's Cove. At least on PC that's the case. But yeah, he will sometimes in the mobile version just reset to phase 3 and come at you again. So play the PC version, or the Help Wanted version, because that is rude as hell. And it's 7, appearance. Funtime Foxy's color scheme is apparently the inverse of Funtime Freddy, but in all honesty, they're just white and pink instead of white and purple. The animatronic is also 5.9 feet tall and over 200 pounds. It's honestly pretty damn terrifying and makes me shudder at the thought of a 6-foot tall animatronic opening its face and staring down at me menacingly and then eating me. Which may sound like a kink thing, but it's not. It's not, I promise. I swear, it's not a kink thing. This damn thing, while not having a very menacing exterior, is certainly going to rustle my jimmies if I ever have to stare it down in a dark alley, or a dense forest after it's murdered my family. And its 6, special song. In the first game's files, there is a soundbite referred to as Pirate_Song 2, which when viewed is actually Foxy's song. You know, the dum dum diddy dum dum. You know that one? Yeah, it's that song. You hear it multiple times and he even sings it in the Corn Maze minigame from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC in Help Wanted. However, even though this is sung by Foxy, there is no official voice actor, because this is a stock sound. There is no author, so yeah. The most iconic Foxy sound is a stock sound that Scott just bought for the game. This also made Foxy the first animatronic to sing in the games, and the first to have any voice acting, even if the voice actor isn't listed. And I mean the first animatronic to have voice acting, not character, since Phone Guy is voiced by Scott and speaks on the first night. This also isn't including the groans from Bonnie and Chica, because they're groans and this is actual words, even if they're not real words, you know?
Number 5, sister location. The whole reason that people mostly think of Lolbit as a floating head, it's because when she shows up in Sister Location, that's exactly how she appears. Add in the fact that her customizable character appearance also shows her mainly as a floating head, and well, it all makes sense. In Sister Location's main game, Lolbit is no more than an Easter egg. She appears as simply a recolored Funtime Foxy head and is not seen as any real threat to the protagonist. Just a creepy head that's obviously meant as a nod to her appearance in FNAF World.
And at 4, Ender Foxy. The community used to think for some reason that the more you watch Foxy, the scarier he would get, the more aggressive he would get, like a Minecraft Enderman. However, this was proven to not be the case, since his mechanics work like every around 5 seconds, known as every 501 in-game ticks, a random number will be generated between 1 and 20. If that number is less than or equal to Foxy's level, he will move, meaning that if he's level 1, he will move not even 1% of the time, like in Night 1. But if he's level 20, he will move every time. There is also a timer that prevents him from moving, however, when the monitor gets lowered. A random number between 50 and 1050 ticks is created. This also means that Foxy can't move while the monitor is up, making it possible to, in essence, keep him immobilized if you check it every half a second consistently, since that would be 50 ticks. If he's in the hall when you bring the monitor up, however, this doesn't apply. He will still move. Foxy's AI levels for the nights go 0 for Night 1, 1 for Night 2, 2 for Night 3, 6 for Night 4, 5 for Night 5, and 6 for Night 6. And this level goes up by 1 at 3 and 4 AM respectively, meaning that when he starts at level 6, he will be level 8 at 4 AM, which is probably why people thought that he would get more aggressive, since at that point you've probably checked him a lot. Obviously I didn't list it for Night 7, because you get to pick what happens Night 7. It's the custom night. And 3, Soul Sucker. In the original FNAF novels, at the very least, we learned that the Funtime animatronics are actually a combination of the metals from the first 4 victims. The metal that we came to know as Remnant was melted down and turned into the endoskeletons of the Funtimes, but they weren't separated beforehand, so each Funtime animatronic has 4, if not 5 souls inside them from the original missing children. Baby has an additional one at least, thanks to, scooping Elizabeth. The others have Fritz, Jeremy, Susie, Gabriel, and potentially Cassidy, although I'm not too sure on that one. Meaning that this animatronic is more conflicted than my sister. And trust me, she is very conflicted. Well, at least she was. But she definitely still is, and is probably very unstable. She can't accept the fact that One Direction broke up ages ago. It's sad, really. And yes, she's sitting on the couch looking at me angrily, and now she's making a very rude gesture with her hands. That's not nice, I'm telling Dad. In it too, Special Scream. The creepy Bonnie crash is something that always interested me. I don't know why it was a thing. Maybe it's what Scott saw in his nightmares that he had because of Bonnie, or maybe it was just something that he threw in there just because. However, I was unaware that Withered Foxy had a similar screen in FNAF 2. This can occur whenever you boot the game or get jump scared by an animatronic. It can also be seen during the Custom Night 7 screen where you're picking the animatronic levels, if the memory of the wiki I read right before lunch serves me right. I had it open next to me while I was writing this, but I needed to film this in like 15 minutes, so I didn't really have time to scroll through the goddamn trivia on this page. Jesus Christ, there was so much. Okay, never mind, I scrolled through and it can actually be seen on occasion when starting any other night, it being recorded mostly on nights 1, 3, and 7, but it can also happen the other times I said. Finally, and at number 1, Power Up. While Foxy from the first game may have had some weird mechanics, like the bug of being gone even while the door scratch sound is playing, he gets powered the hell up in FNAF VR. The aforementioned bug of Foxy leaving upon arriving at a closed door is fixed in the FNAF 1 mode, so if the player opens the door while the sound of Foxy knock is still playing, he will enter the office and jump scare them, even though Pirate's Cove still reverts to its first phase, which I don't understand. Like, how are you two players? How did you go close the curtains but are still here in order to scare the living Jesus out of me? Foxy is also given a much more powerful sound for his knocking, making it longer so the jump scare mentioned could happen. Oh, and in that mode, Foxy is more likely to be able to knock out the remaining power than he was in the original game, as the power drains slightly faster to balance out the monitor not draining any power, because you can just keep the cameras on because you can't really turn them off. So yeah, he just gets beefed the hell up, making him one of the deadliest animatronics in the game. Sure, you can block the others with doors, but try that with Foxy and he may just kill the power faster than me when I'm undressing. I don't know where that came from. I'm really tired. And a 10 reluctant follower. Vanny is known as the reluctant follower, at least she was known as the reluctant follower at first, since the listing for the character on voices.com was reluctant follower as to not spoil anything. And we know this is a real role thanks to Scott leaving Jessica Tang a splendid review saying she was very professional and he hopes to work with her again. And going over one of her voice demo lines called video game demo, scared, frightened, afraid, young, female, follower, obedient, we can clearly tell that the voice is meant to be Vanny, since the line goes, I understand. I'll do just as you ask, and yes, I've already selected one. Which goes back to the conversation we see on ScottGames.com's source code between Vanny and Glitchtrap, the one I said at the beginning of the video, where he tells her to stay the course and asks if she's selected one. The one in this case is probably going to be Gregory, unless he's simply a means to an end. And at 9, tampering. Vanny has been tampering with the animatronics, uploading Glitchtrap's AI into them, but apparently missing Freddy, maybe skipping because he's the main man that everyone checks on. This is confirmed by emails and special delivery which talk about someone tampering with the animatronics. We don't know what virus she's uploading to these animatronics. It could very well be one that she made, but it could also be the main Glitchtrap virus that she herself is infected with. There are theories saying that she only messed with Roxanne and Monty and left Chica and Freddy out of it, which is interesting, but so far all we know is that she messed with some of the animatronics, and now they can't be controlled or even sometimes found. Since these emails came from Special Delivery, a game with out-of-control animatronics, it's easy to dismiss these as about those. But it makes even more sense for the emails to be about the animatronics we see in Security Breach. We shouldn't really even have access to these emails anyway, so why couldn't they be about something completely different? If you're enjoying this video, do me a favor and give this video a big ol' thumbs up so I don't have to upload my consciousness into your brain. You think that I'm an actual person? No, I'm a virus that's infiltrated these YouTube videos. Plus it lets me know what you want to see more of, so more likes means more FNAF. And at 8, theories. There are plenty of theories about the character of Vanny. Some think that she's a separate person. Some think that she has multiple personalities. Some think that she's a robot. Others have more sense. There are hundreds of Vanny theories all guessing different things, and any of them could be true. And multiple could be true at once. Vanny could have 2 versions, a suit version for Vanessa and a robot version Vanessa chases to make herself seem innocent. She could have multiple personalities, and she could end up splitting into 2 people in the game, since apparently anything goes in this series now, and many more. There is no way of telling what will happen, but it's interesting and fun to talk about, as long as people don't treat anything but there being theories as a fact. And at 7, family ties. A theory that some have is that Circus Baby is actually supposed to be the younger sister to Ballora, implying that the two are made in relation to each other somehow, perhaps both being created to be circus, because they're both humans, right? Or they're humanoid. I don't know. Another theory is that Elizabeth herself had an older sister who we hadn't actually met in the series, but who also died, whose soul was trapped and stored in Ballora somehow, preserving the other young girl. She possibly even died after Elizabeth did, but again, no. That's not a thing. And at 6, red eyes. When we see Vanny's jump scare in the reveal trailer and when we see her in the gameplay trailer, both jumping down the corridor and behind the staff sign, we see the mask has glowing red eyes. The confusing part is, how are her mask's eyes glowing red? There could be LEDs behind them, but that would make it really difficult to see out of. It could be an indication of being controlled by Glitchtrap, hell it probably is, but that still doesn't explain why it's happening. I guess perhaps since Glitchtrap is a virus she was infected with, he doesn't really need to use her eyes, or he could just be using the eyes of the suit. It could also be that this is just actually a robot version of Vanny that is chasing us with red eyes. But the movement is too realistic for even FNAF animatronics, so I'm probably going to keep that on the back burner. Let me know your theories down below, but she does have glowing red eyes. That's a fact, Jack. Halfway through into number 5, Mangled. A lot of people seem to think that we have an idea that Funtime Foxy and Mangle are related. If anything, that Funtime Foxy is either a rebuilt version of Mangle, an alternate Mangle model, or that Mangle is a run-down and destroyed Funtime Foxy, since Mangle is taken apart and put back together by children on the regular. This is based on the rosy cheek design of both characters, since there isn't really much to look at other than Mangle's face. Well, in Mangle's sense. Funtime Foxy has more going on, but not Mangle. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, like, it would make some kind of sense, but it would also still be kinda an issue, at least in a timeline sense, at least based on how we currently understand the timeline. But what do you think about this? Do you think that Mangle is just a torn up Funtime Foxy, or do you think that Funtime Foxy is a rebuilt version of Mangle? I mean, maybe it would make sense in a timeline sense, I don't know anymore. I'm confused. I've said sense too much. FNAF has broken my brain. Let's just move on. And at 4, suit. The suit Vanny wears is very clearly a suit, meant to be in a similar style to the Glitch Trap suit, which suggests that William made it during one of his mind melds, where Vanessa went to sleep and he took over. The suit is patchy, with different materials and fabrics and sewn patches over certain places like the legs and arms. It's unknown if these are because of cuts or rips to the original suit, or if it's because they didn't have enough fabric to cover those sections. The stitching all over the body suggests that it is definitely a suit to be worn, but like, my thing is, if you're trying to catch Gregory, why dress in a creepy suit? Why not just make a, wait for it, normal mask and be a normal killer? I mean, like, I guess technically it's William. William Afton is a furry confirmed, okay? He could just be normal, but he chose to make a new suit. You're not even in your own body, dude. If you get caught, you don't go to prison. She does. Like, what? Why did you have to make another furry suit? William Afton is a furry confirmed. 100%. It's the only explanation. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, room for one more. Okay, so this isn't directly related to Ballora, but I'm not sure if the mini Renas will get their own list at some point, and they're affiliated with her, so I figured that it would make sense to include the story here. Plus, it's my list. I can do what I want. Do you want the mini Renas to have their own list? Like, do you think that they deserve one? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if we actually have enough for any form of top 10. I don't think there's enough different versions of mini Renas, but I mean, like, they're definitely creepy. So I feel like they could potentially be worthy of having their own, but I don't really want to do that, and I'm the only one who does videos here, so if I don't want to do it, it's not gonna happen. Either way, the story titled Room for One More from the Fazbear Frights book of 1:35 a.m. is actually featuring Ballora's little mini Renas, and it's hella weird. In it, a security guard named Stanley spots them while working at his desk. Later on, he notices that he feels sick and realizes that mini Renas must have been climbing inside his body while he was sleeping on the job. That's why you don't sleep on the job, kids, because little robots will claw themselves into your stomach. As he attempts to head to the hospital though, his body fails him and he falls to the floor, and a final mini Rena approaches him as he's laying there dying, asking if there's room for one more. Terrified, obviously, he screams, and then that mini Rena climbs into his goddamn mouth. What the hell, Scott? Or was this Andrea Wagner? Who wrote this one? You need a therapist, no matter what, okay? God. And at 2, human masks. There is one particularly interesting email I saw from FNAF AR Special Delivery that was sent by none other than our IT stalker Louis and refers to Vanessa buying 3 realistic human male masks. Louis asks if they're for a screenplay, and unless that's a hint of what's going on with the FNAF movie, that's definitely wrong, my dude. The 3 masks could be put over animatronic robots was my first thought, kind of like a Michael skin suit situation, where it would be an endoskeleton but with realistic facial features and a thirst for blood. I don't really know what else 3 realistic male masks could be for. Like, honestly, like, do you have another explanation? Leaving them around to scare people, covering them with blood, and then leaving them around to scare people? Maybe it's to trick William into thinking she has Gregory. I honestly don't know why these masks were mentioned and nobody seems to be talking about them, so I had to bring it to your attention. Please help me figure out this one in the comments below. Maybe we can make like a community post about it or something and have a whole discussion based on it. Should we do that? Should we do like more like community posts about theories so we can collaboratively work on them, you know? I don't know, that sounds like a good idea to me. Would you want that? Let me know. Finally, in number 1, firsts. Vanny, assuming she is truly Vanessa, which the evidence seems to point to, is actually making way for everyone in the FNAF series, women and security guards alike. Vanessa is the first female night guard ever in the series. Thanks to the paychecks at the end of the other games, we know the characters in those are male, excluding FNAF VR since that's just redoing other games. In the first, it's Mike. Don't forget about Jeremy and Fitz. In Sister Location, we know we play as Michael, and FNAF 4, we probably play as the Crying Child, even though he isn't actually a security guard for anything other than his room. Vanessa is also the first night guard to have a face, a physical form that we get to see. Every other time in the series, we're the security guards, so we only assume that they look like us, since, you know, it's us, we're playing, it's normal. And Michael doesn't really count because that's 8-bit. And Vanny specifically is the first main antagonist that attacks the player to not have some form of robotic part. In FNAF 1 and 2, it was the animatronics. In FNAF 3, it was Springtrap, who isn't an animatronic since he was still alive, but he did have robot parts helping him move. In FNAF 4 it was the Nightmares, and in Sister Location it was Baby. FNAF 6 had every animatronic, and the same with Ultimate Custom Night. Sure, Glitch Trap isn't an animatronic in FNAF VR, but he doesn't attack and jump scare us. Vanny, however, will. You go, girl! Make way for women in the FNAF series. I support it. What a queen. Ignoring the fact that she's gonna murder me. In at 10, Little Freddy. We all know Helpy as Helpy, that's his name. However, looking at the files from FNAF 6, we can see the original name for Helpy. You ready for this? I don't think your body is able to handle this. Okay, drum roll please! Little Freddy. Yeah, it's literally named after a euphemism for a dong. This was shown off on Reddit after someone was going through the game files, and there was a link to an Imager file, and that's basically it. That's the number. Helpy's name was originally Little Freddy until later on. There was technically no name. Until at least... And at number 9, no name. Helpy's name is mentioned nowhere in the game. The only reason he has a name is because Scott confirmed it in an update notes from the game. Until that point, people were just calling him by made up names, since like I said, it gets mentioned nowhere. But for some reason, this seems to happen fairly often from my experience. It could be that Scott just named him that because people were calling him that, but when I was watching the Yogscast play The Forest, they ended up calling one of the mutants Armsy, and that ended up being the mutant's name. This could also explain why Helpy was known as Little Freddy in the files, since he never was really meant to have a name until Scott had to update it, you know? And at 8, VR. FNAF VR had a whole cast of animatronics, like a montage of their greatest hits, more so than Ultimate Custom Night. That's right, I said it. No matter what, there are quite a few animatronics absent from that game, including the entire cast of FNAF 6. Sure, a couple of them had a cameo, most notably Scrap Baby as one of the plush babies, but the only FNAF 6 animatronic to make a full appearance is Helpy. He appears to show you the levels and minigames, but he can also appear behind the monitor of the level select, but also in FNAF 2's filing cabinet. It will honestly probably scare the hell out of you because you're not used to it, plus Helpy is freaking huge and in your face at this point. And I mean, like, Helpy himself isn't really that scary, but when he's frozen in your face and has a foot glitching through the table, it's bound to be at least a little scary.
Number 7, missing eyes. That's right, Lolbit is not just missing eyebrows, but is also missing their eyes. So I guess they don't have to worry about things dripping into their eyes. They don't really have them, in the conventional sense, at least. Which makes Lolbit one of the creepiest alternate variations on the Foxy animatronic. Namely because while Foxy as a pirate might be missing an eye, Lolbit is missing both eyes. Instead of eyes like Funtime Foxy, where Lolbit should be, there are just 2 little pinpricks of bright white light. How Lolbit lost her eyes, we don't know. It is possible, of course, that she was designed without them, like her eyebrows, though I'm not sure which idea there is more terrifying. Did she lose her eyes? Or someone like, yeah, we're gonna make this animatronic super creepy.
And at 6, FPS. The frame rate of Helpy's animation in FNAF 6 is very low. There are only 4 frames per each animation, whether it's when he's fishing or about to jump into a ball pit, anything really. The only time Helpy has a smooth animation is in FNAF 6, when he's riding the rocket ship in the Riding Rockets minigame. These animations are smoother and have more frames, so he's able to move around quite well, especially when he's playing the game. The stopping animation is a little choppy, and another one of the animations is a little janky, but for the most part it's actually pretty solid. I don't know why this is a thing, like why his animations are slow unless it's for this minigame, but I thought it was a pretty interesting fact. And isn't that what this list is all about? How about doing a number 5, dancing? Last time we talked about how talented of a singer that Ballora was, but of course, being modeled after a ballerina, she is also known for being a dancer. She often glides and spins around her stage. She's meant to encourage children to get active and enjoy pizza, but obviously that didn't work because they had to do Mazercise and security breach. Maybe you could have joined Ballora for like a dance-themed birthday party, you know? Maybe Ballora could bust out some moves, do some little head twirls, you know? Get the freaky fresh in the hood. Yo. Though I'm not sure if that's possible. I mean, maybe she was rented out, okay? Maybe she would somehow manage to dance as maybe she has specific requirements or something when it comes to performing. I mean, she's supposed to be on that track, right? She crawls on all fours, I don't know. At least if you could rent her out. Considering her requirements, I'm pretty sure that you could, since she is meant to capture kids, and like renting them out would be the best method for gathering them in bulk, I guess. But considering how they were all stowed away underground, I'm not sure if they would intentionally be rented out after the capture of Elizabeth. And at 4, honk. We all know the signature honk of the FNAF games. Whenever you click on Freddy's nose on a poster or whatnot, we always get a lovely honk. It serves as a tension breaker in an otherwise horrifying and stressful game. And in FNAF 6, we thought we would have lost it. However, Helpy came to the rescue since we can use his cute little button nose as our booping outlet and relieve some of the tension brought on by this game. This is the first time an actual animatronic has been used to get the honk, since in Sister Location, it was just Psychic Friend Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic Friend Fredbear. I'm sorry, I have to do it every time. But actually, I think I'm gonna call Helpy instead. That's right, I said it. I don't need some freaky Freddy doll that wants to take over my life. No, I'd rather have a lovable tiny bear animatronic that will smother me in my sleep. At least he'll do it with love.
Number 3, Help Wanted. Lolbit also appears in Help Wanted. Here, they have eyebrows, no hook hand, and a speaker, and a full body. Similar in appearance to Funtime Foxy. In fact, Funtime Foxy is also featured in the same version of the Dark Rooms minigame there. Here you must sneak through Funtime Auditorium and avoid not just Funtime Foxy, but also Lolbit. Lolbit not only has a complete body in this version, but they also get their own jump scare to show off once they catch the player in game. So you can check that out too.
In it too, Quiet Boy. In Ultimate Custom Night, Helpy will jump scare you, however he doesn't actually end the game. Instead, he's described as increasing the noise meter so your run can be ended because of another animatronic, the Music Man or something like that. However, despite this being in the character description, he doesn't actually raise the noise meter. He sounds off an air horn, but he doesn't, since he's never really holding one. This makes me think it's some form of hallucination or Cassidy messing with your head. Fun fact, this is actually the sound my heart makes when I get jump scared in a FNAF game. The slightly sped up version of the MLG Gamer meme horn. And yes, that is actually what the sound is, I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Finally, in at number 1, Security Breach. Helpy was actually in the Security Breach trailer, I'm not even kidding. I mean, the animatronic wasn't there, but Helpy's face was. During the shot of the kitchen in the reveal trailer, the introduction of the Moo Man animatronic, we were too distracted to see Helpy's face on a barrel to the right of the screen. The barrel has the text torque fraction toil. I don't know what the fraction is, but there is a small character, a slash, and then another character underneath, so it has to be some form of fraction. Helpy's face is plastered on the side, and this will probably be his only appearance, unfortunately, which kinda sucks, cause like, Helpy's cute. I mean, I don't know what he would do in this game. I mean, like, he could help you, perhaps. I don't know, maybe Glam Rock Freddy is gonna be just a really big version of Helpy. I don't know. I kinda want that. I mean, that would be weird, but I'd want it.